All right, we got One Punch Man Monsters villain versus My Hero Academia villains. It's not fair, bro. Let's see who's gonna win this, bro. Y'all know I told y'all first, bro. I told y'all first. I was heavily into My Hero Academia all day. Till my friend told me, until my friend introduced me to One Punch Man. So, yo, I pretty much with this until my partner showed me this, bro. And ever since then, bro, we've been up. So let's check this out.
Academia. These are two groups or organizations that seeks to fully eradicate the heroes composed of—
Bro, what you call it? Well, okay. I'm gonna say, Black S probably on. Well, yeah. If What's probably gonna have to get rid of I forget bro name right now. Well, he probably gonna have to get rid of Black S, bro. He got to.
the strongest and the most heinous individuals in their series. In today's video, given how strikingly similar they are in ambition and strength, we're pitting these two evil factions against each other to see which one reigns supreme. We've already made One Punch Man's as class heroes.
Orochi probably enough to I don't know. Orochi probably enough to
versus My Hero Academia's top pros video that you should go and check it out. But before that, I'd highly appreciate if you guys destroy the subscribe button and the notification bell for more of these One Punch Man videos. Thank you. The League of Villains is a very dangerous and villainous organization composed and led by both All For One and Shigaraki Tomura. Their ultimate—
Shigaraki, I can never say his name right, but bro, he like my favorite one. Like I'm more villain when it comes to them. I mean, yeah, My Hero Academia, the hero's cool, but I be rooting more for the villains. That's what I'm rooting for, bro. I love the villains.
Its goal is to fully destroy hero society and create a world where villains can act freely without any obstacles and oppression. They're certainly the main antagonist of the series that I personally did not enjoy at the start, but grew on me chapter by chapter. Now, similar to the Monster Association, there obviously exist levels and hierarchies within their ranks. Most of them can obviously fight, but conversely to the monsters, strength isn't really the defining criteria to be placed in a higher rank. The Vanguard Action Squad, for example, contains some characters that can be useful by skills and tricks, but aren't really that strong in a general sense. You have Mr. Compress, Spinner, Toga, Magne, Mustard, and even Twice. There's certain—
Bro, I love Twice too, bro. Twice versus Black S? That'd be crazy. I used to have this too at my own too, bro. That was dope. This was dope, bro. This was dope.
Very weak with lackluster durability, but some of their abilities are insanely useful and adaptive in so many situations. Twice is the perfect example, possessing a broken power that allows him to create an army of clones of himself, and some would even argue that it's even possible to create armies of his comrades fully equipped with their quirks and physical strength. The point I'm trying to make here is that even when it's very apparent that some of these villains are certainly not impressive in the strength department, they're still very formidable in certain situations. You see, the biggest showcase when it comes to My Hero Academia in terms of strength comes from Izuku Midoriya in chapter 423 and 424, defeating Shigaraki with a smash that changed the weather for a week. This was capped at 42 petatons of TNT, which makes it multi-continental. However, I gotta say that the calc is actually very controversial, as many would say that nothing proves that the radius of that shockwave is the distance between Japan and USA, as the storm is not shown to have reached the United States by the time that Izuku throws his punch. It's certainly a really contentious matter, but you can at the end of the day say that a low-balled Deku would be large country plus, mid-ball would be continental, and high-ball would be multi-continental. But anyways, narratively speaking, the only characters that has strong statements and indications of remotely belonging on this tier, obviously from the villains that we're including on this video, are Gigantomachia, All For One,
Oh yeah, bro. I think the only way to defeat this guy is like, I think you gotta put him to sleep, bro.
USG Nomu, High-End Nomu, and certainly Shigaraki Tomura. Now Shigaraki Tomura and All for One are obvious choices, being that one fought Deku and the other tangled with 100% All Might, who is stated by Midoriya to still possibly being stronger than him. Gigantomachia, on the other hand, is considered to be an even bigger threat than multiple near high ends by Dr. Garaki, the same one said to nearly surpass the USG Nomu, which was specifically designed to fight All Might at 100% of his power.
But even evil ocean water can pretty much just drown him then, can he? Even ocean water can drown the big guy. I'm assuming that's what he can do.
See, if you think that Deku in that instance meant that he's just slightly stronger than injured, not Prime All Might based on showing this panel of them training together in the beach, then the Nomus would be multi-continental. However, if you think it's the other case where Deku was talking about Prime All Might and that picture of the beach was just thrown there to represent the progress he made to show exactly where he was and where he is now, then the Nomus would be large country level, obviously from dividing the force Deku used by 60. But nonetheless, the remaining characters are somehow very weird to scale by My Hero Academia standards. If you can slightly hurt or compete with a multi-continental character, you are by default a multi-continental character. This more so talks about Dubby and Muscular, who both has feats that ties them to the high tier characters. You see, the case with Muscular, a statement about him was issued by Deku saying that he withstood 100% of All Might's power. Surely that's true, but it doesn't mean he is withstanding the strongest energy All Might can throw. Otherwise, you mean to tell me that this punch is as strong as Deku changing the weather or USA Smash, since obviously that's not the case. All Might's casual punches could be as strong as that, but definitely not the strongest he can exert. As for Dubby, the reason he is included here is because it is stated that his firepower is stronger than his father's, the same one that can harm Shigaraki. I mean, the case is slightly better for Dubby since All for One was very wary of Shoto's half-cold, half-hot attacks and considered them strong. The point I'm trying to make here is that these characters, by the power scaling standards, can be considered as country to continental level characters, with all the league's members possessing abilities and hacks that would be talked about later when discussing how this would go. And as for speed, I've already talked about how similar their speed meta is to the One Punch Man scaling in this video that you should go and check it out. And with all of this being said, can the League of Villains ever hope to defeat the Monster Association?
It's a hard one.
Now, conversely to the League of Villains, the main combatants of the Monster Association consist of the strongest in the organization. This was stated 2 times by monsters like Super Mouse and Sludge Jellyfish, concluding that the cadres are the absolute strongest, which means that even the likes of Bug God, Royal Ripper, G5 and Awakened Cockroach vastly pale in comparison to the likes of the executives. Although there are exceptions, such as Galewind and Hellfire Flame, who are not cadres for unknown reasons, but can certainly compete on that level, and Phoenix Man, who gradually increased in levels due to his busted ability. However, in order to establish how strong they are, it's very necessary to understand some inverse scaling regarding the monsters as a whole. You see, dragon level monsters should be operating from mountain to island level of AP. This is derived from Vaccine Man, who can tank his own City Plus attack in his base form. He's still considered much weaker than Carnage Kabuto, who should be on a similar tier to the likes of Vomited Fury Ugly, which means that characters like Neon, Gums and Black S should be mountain to island level in terms of attack potency or can harm others on that level with tactical approachment. High tier monsters like Goketsu, Rover and Elder Centipede, who are considered as the top 3 in the Monster Association, should still be relative to each other. Goketsu scales above Z series Meteor, which would have destroyed a country-sized city. Rover survived the punch from Saitama that generated a shockwave so powerful it led Orochi to believe that Saitama was the one who defeated Koketsu, and Elder Centipede was so durable and strong that Bang considered using Awakened Breath just to stand a chance against him. All of these informations function to convey that the big 3 should be operating from large island to country level of attack potency. You can even add Homeless Emperor to this equation by accounting for Psycho's statement believing that a team that consists of him and Black S can defeat anybody, with interpreting that Homeless Emperor would be doing most of the heavy lifting with his spherical beams. Galewind and Hellfire Flame should also be country level or above if you use the one.
They like the next Team Rocket. I mean,
shot meta for drawing blood from Flashy Flash, a character that took the unperfected Godslayer fist head-on from Monster Garu. And last but not least, Phoenix Man, a character that fought Brave Giant, a weapon specifically made to fight monsters much stronger than Elder Centipede.
I can't wait for that one.
Now, the strongest monsters in the association are definitely classified as Dragon or higher. These are individuals that narratively scale much higher than the others. If Black S decided to merge all of his cells, he'd be creating Platinum S. Being so confident in his abilities, he thinks he can defeat the strongest creature in the world, King.
Pretty much he'll speed blitz them all. He will speed blitz them all, really. But I wouldn't want him to like go into his full mode. I mean his ultimate form. I like this Black S.
Who at that point to the public is a character that can one-shot Elder Centipede and is considered by many to being a monster even above the likes of Tatsumaki. Platinum S should also be scaled a one-shot tier lower than Sage Centipede, who is multi-continental, which means that Platinum would either be multi-continental or continental at the very least. You also have the Monster King Orochi, who can exert kinetic energy relative to 5,000 exatons of TNT, which makes him small planetary, and Psycho Orochi, who can casually slice continents with her beams. These are still
I forgot about them. God, I always forget about them. I'll forget about this one on and what you call it. Oh my god.
Considered a similar threat to the likes of Evil Ocean Water and Sage Centipede. So the point I'm trying to make here is that these dragon or higher characters are scaled between continental to small planetary levels. Now the low forces of the Monster Association are composed of demons who scale above large town to city levels of AP, and tigers who are considered as fathers in the One Punch Man verse. With all of this being said, can the Monster Association overcome the League of Villains? Now, when you say the Monster Association versus the League of Villains, you aren't simply talking about the main forces, which are the Cadres versus the Vanguard Action Squad, but rather a full-on fledged war between the two organizations. The main course of analysis shows the League of Villains' advantage in numbers if you account for the Meta Liberation Army I forgot about them. That has up to 100,000 combatants. Compared to the Monster Association's 500 monsters, it just seems like it's not really a fair fight. However, some would say that maybe the League of Villains has quantity while the Monster Association has quality, since these target level monsters are still strong enough to compete with A-class heroes. But despite the numbers being still very overwhelming, it will all depend on the main forces of both parties. If the strongest cannot take out the strongest, an army of fathers just doesn't matter. So we start with characters that just wouldn't make any difference in this battle. Spinner, Toga, Magne, Mustard, and
I like Spinner.
Mr. Compress, while they do possess abilities that would be useful in so many situations, their actual strength vastly fall behind even the likes of demon level monsters. Their speed also isn't really tied to My Hero Academia's high tiers, which means monsters like Roy Ripper or Awakened Cockroach would be able to deal with them easily. Toga's ability to transform by drinking her enemy's blood is surely useful in battle, but it's not clear if her core can assimilate the DNA properties of monsters far different than humans. Twice, on the other hand, can also be dealt with quickly before he uses his quirk, but if he manages to do so, he could easily be countered by Black S's cells, who has more numbers and prove to be much more durable. However, if he starts making infinite numbers of his allies with their abilities intact, things would be much more difficult to the Monster Association. But since we didn't see him do that, we have no reason to assume he performed that feat in battle, which means that the only characters that can make a difference in the League of Villains are the Nomus, Shigaraki, Ridestro, Gigantomachia, and All for One. These guys are either large country level or straight up multi-continental for scaling to Deku's final punch. Others like Dubby and Muscular are in this bracket but still very questionable. So here's the thing, while the Cadres are extremely strong, they don't actually scale to this level. Goketsu vs Gigantomachia, a battle between spiky haired monsters, would certainly be an amazing fight, but Gigantomachia is just the superior monster. The Nomus can also destroy characters like Vomited Fury Ugly, Neon, and disperse evil natural water in his initial state. The only character that can stand a chance against them is Phoenix Man with his resurrection and reanimation ability. If they do not figure out how to defeat him without allowing him to resurrect, he'd eventually be strong enough to overpower the whole league. He'd be like Sanjin Woo from Solo Leveling, able to resurrect every dead dead corpse from both parties and keeps getting stronger after every awakening. However, he could still be hard countered by Shigaraki's decay ability that would destroy his costume before resurrecting, which means that the main forces of the League of Villains should be able to take down the main monsters of the Monster Association. However, the dragon or higher threats are what can make a difference in this battle. Let's say Black S decided to merge, Evil Ocean Water absorbed part of the ocean, Sage Centipede emerged from the ground, and Orochi started sucking up energy from the core of this earth. It would be something so overwhelming that the League of Villains just wouldn't be able to handle. Strictly speaking, the League of Villains still has tricks up their sleeves to counter these above dragons. Dabi can try to melt Evil Ocean Water, whether he succeeds or not, he can still try. Shigaraki can use Decay to eliminate most monsters, and All for One would search for effective quirks in his arsenal that could help overcome the situation. However, the Monster Association also has answers to everything they can do. For example, Evil Ocean Water would not be affected by Decay, and Platinum S can escape it with his super speed. Psychos can also use psychic barriers to shield them from that ability, and not to mention the Gaia Cannon that would certainly obliterate every single villain in the battlefield. Dabi's Self-Explosion Blast has a radius of 5 kilometers, which wouldn't even cover for Evil Ocean's eyes. The point I'm trying to make here is that surely the League of Villains are extremely strong, but when the Monster Association starts to use their best assets, the League's chances starts to diminish drastically. And even if you start comparing their numbers with scaling them to Deku's final punch on a good day, it just wouldn't look good on the League of Villains. The only way they can compete is to plan it carefully from the start and use Decay non-stop on the battlefield, but then Psychos would fly and consume Orochi like it happened in the manga, and then you have a monster that can spam 18 Exaton's multi-continental plus beams towards the enemy with the ability to shield herself from Decay using her psychic barriers. So at the end of the day, surely the Nomus and the Vanguards with high bolt scaling can compete with the Monster Association, but once the dragon or higher threat level monsters start to emerge, they wouldn't have any chance to compete. Thank you so much for watching, and please take good care.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Ugh, oh my God, bro. I feel like that it could have been a draw. It could have been a draw. I like both of them, bro. Both of them boys are, but you know, yeah, like he said, Orochi and all the other one. Yeah, I feel like it'll be a draw, but then again, I feel like, you know, I got Orochi in them too, so that's I gotta get the one punch, bro. Yeah, but you already know.